Hudson River, a view of the skyline of Manhattan on a magnificent autumn afternoon. Welcome to Giant Stadium, a crowd of 76,000. Implications for first place in the two AFC divisions. In the West, the Seattle Seahawks, a game behind Denver and the Los Angeles Raiders. And in the AFC East, currently it's the New York Jets tied with the Miami Dolphins atop that particular division. This is Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Welcome to Giant Stadium. It is indeed a honey of a football afternoon.
Dick, there's a little bite in the air, the wind blowing a bit. They're tailgating in the parking lot. This is the kind of day football is meant to be played on.
I know when he's ready because he vibrates. He's pumped and ready.
Around.
Well, let's talk about this day as far as the runners go. It was the New York Marathon earlier this morning, and we see two top runners in the Jets and the Seahawks this afternoon.
We certainly do in Warner and McNeil. And as a defensive player, the thing I admire most about these two runners is their cutting ability. The fact that they can cut so crisply. We're going to see them leave a lot of tacklers on the ground today.
McNeil, despite the fact he did not play last week against New England, leads the AFC in rushing, and Warner is the number 2 runner. There's an old theorem, 100 yards by your top rusher, you win the football game. Do you subscribe to that?
I certainly do. And both these coaches talk to me about controlling the line of scrimmage. We'll be able to talk about which team is getting the edge on the line of scrimmage by looking at the rushing totals for McNeil and Warner.
And on this warm afternoon, 69 degrees warm, late in October, light breeze. It'll be the Jets that get the football initially. Norm Johnson has it teed up for the Seattle blue jerseyed Seahawks. And at the other end, it's Kirk Springs and Bobby Humphrey for New York. Humphrey on the far side. And the drama, the opening kickoff delayed for a moment.
Football blew off the tee. I don't know whether that's a bad omen or not. Norm Johnson said, wait a minute, guys, I got to be able to kick that sucker to get it into play.
Well, that might be remindful of the Jets' former home across that river in Shea Stadium where the winds were treacherous. Well, you saw the brisk nature of the wind blowing to our left to the west end while it's rather quiet down at the receiving end, the east side.
They're going to have someone hold the ball. That's Terry Jackson, and that takes one person out of coverage. That could be a problem.
Jackson then will serve along with Johnson as a safety man. We're underway. A booming end-over-end kick that'll chase Humphrey right out of the end zone. So the Jets will take it on the touchback at the 20-yard line. And young Ken O'Brien from the University of California, Davis, the quarterback. Here is that Jet starting lineup. He has Freeman McNeil, number 1 in the AFC running. Tony Page, the blocky fullback. Wesley Walker, the veteran sprinter on one outside. Kurt Sohn, the free agent pattern man on the other. Mickey Schuler may or may not start. There was rumors that Rocky Cleaver would be in there. The offensive line, Joe Fields in the middle. Jim Sweeney and Dan Alexander at guard. Reggie McElroy and Ted Banker for Marvin Powell at right tackle. Powell has a sore foot. Probably won't play today. O'Brien comes out throwing a lot of time and ducks out of bounds with a 7-yard gain. Keith Butler and Fred Young for Seattle ran him off the field of play. Here's the Seahawk alignment. Joe Nash, the Pro Bowl nose tackle, with Jacob Green and Jeff Bryant on the outside. The linebackers, the tall Bruce Schultz, Fred Young in his second year, Pro Bowler last year, special teams, Keith Butler and Michael Jackson. At the corners, Terry Taylor and veteran Dave Brown, Kenny Easley, one of the game's best, and John Harris at safety. Easley, of course, rendered unconscious at Denver last week, but okay, says ready to go today. 2nd and 3, and Freeman McNeil has a first down across the 30. Young and Green made the tackle.
The Jets have lined up with 3 tight ends now. One of those tight ends leaving the ball game, an extra wide receiver in, but they tried to show a little different look as they started the ball game, Dick.
And let's keep our eye on number 88, Al Toon. He's in the game, the number 1 draft pick for the Jets. He was late in signing out of Wisconsin, where he was the most valuable player for the Badgers 2 consecutive years. Toon is in the game for this play. They said they want to use him more. Walker in motion. The fake to Toon. O'Brien now goes long for Walker. And it's almost intercepted by Terry Taylor. Walker had a step on Taylor.
Turnover is a big factor for both teams last week. They were not able to even out on the takeaways. They were giving the football away. The Seahawks shut out in that department, almost had a chance here to pick up a turnover and put their offense on the field, but Taylor couldn't hang on to it.
Seattle had losing at Denver, turned the ball over 5 times to none, and Joe Walton's Jets coughed it up 3 times and took it away only once from the Patriots in their defeat at New England. McNeil. No room to cut back on that play as there was a sea of Seahawk blue to stop him after a gain of 2.
Both teams using a little different look. That's a 4-man line in on 2nd and 7 here for the Seahawks. Down in the middle of that offensive line, you'll see Joe Fields, 65, cutting Randy Edwards, the tackle from the opposite side. Good hole there, but McNeil couldn't find room as the linebackers shut it quickly.
Mickey Schuler, the top receiver for the Jets, 36 catches, is in the game on 3rd and 7. And 56, Greg Gaines on a blitz. The linebacker for Seattle has the first sack of the game, and that will force the Jets into punt formation.
If O'Brien has a glaring weakness, it's his inability, if you will, to escape in that area right there. When he's dropped into the pocket and suddenly feels pressure, he is not very nifty at getting away from it. Gaines taking advantage of that, able to get the sack.
Number 13, Dave Jennings, the former Giant. This has been his home field for many years with the Giants and now with the Jets. He's averaging 42 plus a punt. Paul Scansey injured last week at Denver, the deep man, but the kick is to the sidelines and out of bounds, where Seattle will have good field position at the Seahawk 39-yard line. 36-yard punt, no return for Jennings. So onto the field, Dave Craig, a free agent out of Milton, Wisconsin, and the Seahawk offense. David Hughes and Kurt Warner, the running backs. The wide receivers will be Darrell Turner and Steve Largent. Charlie Young, the tight end. Break to Warner. Gain of 3. Greeted by 4 of the defensive members of that Jet team. Marty Lyons spearheading the charge. Kurt Warner gets the call, and here is the Seahawk offense. Craig, as we said, Warner and Hughes in the backfield, Turner and Largent on the outside. Largent has a string of 114 consecutive games with the catch. Essink, Bailey, Bush, Millard, and Kreider on the front wall. On 2nd and 7, Warner again off the blocks and into the Jets territory at the 49 and a first down.
If you're going to control the line of scrimmage against the 3-4 defense, you have to control a nose man. Joe Klecko. They cut him down on that last play. Right in the middle of your screen, 73. And look at Blair Bush going right after his knees. Klecko unable to get across and created a little gap in there. Warner took advantage of it to pick up the first down. The first big run for Seattle, and that's what they'll try and do more of today.
But Warner himself was injured, and you see him as he's the bottom of our picture. Warner being aided off the field, limping on that right knee. So as he was tackled, seemed to have the knee caught beneath him, and that could be a very critical point early in this game. Warner helped off the field.
Let's go back and take a peek at that tackle on Warner. Gets hit from the backside right there, and it Springs. Looked like the leg may have been pinned down as Springs took him to the ground. We'll keep an eye on him on the sideline.
3.5 minutes into the game, Kurt Warner lost to the Seahawks, at least for a moment. Randall Morris to the 46-yard line and a gain of 3. The Jets defensively are lined in this manner. We saw the front 3, the linebackers Charles Jackson, no relation to the Seattle's Michael, Kyle Clifton, Lance Mell, again the leading tackler, and Rusty Gilboes won a spot as a starter. Bobby Jackson and Russell Carter at the corners. Carter considered the better man cover defender in that back 4, with Kirk Springs and Johnny Lynn at safety. Largent right and Turner to the left. David Hughes, the fullback, and he slams what appears to be to a first down at the 38-yard line. Hughes from Boise State, native of Hawaii.
Keeping an eye on the matchup between Klecko and down in the middle of that line. Klecko and Bush really going at it, and that's good news as Warner is up and moving around. May have just taken a good bruise on that leg.
First down at the 38 after an 8-yard gain by Hughes. The word is it's a right ankle injury to Warner. Randall Morris, and he has 9 more Seattle yards. It'll be 2nd and 1 before Johnny Lynn makes the tackle. The Bears have scored early against Minnesota. A 33-yard pass from McMahon to McKinnon, and Indianapolis leads 7-0. Wayne Capers, a 20-yard run for the Colts.
Gain of 9 yards on the play.
Must have been a reverse.
2nd and 1 from the 29.
From the 29-yard line, Craig has the Seahawks deep in Jets territory. Hot and cold quarterback, as you saw from that graphic. Morris, and they're shredding the Jets run defense. Lance Mill finally made the stop, but not until Morris had picked up 5 more and a first down.
Dick, maybe we can get that graphic back up because it's worth talking about. You're seeing Klecko here manhandling Bush, but he gets a great block in there by David Hughes, 46, and that made enough room for Randall Morris on the play.
There's Craig against Atlanta 2 weeks ago in the win. 405 yards, 4 touchdowns. Last week against Denver was a miserable 9 for 32 and only 115 yards, 1 touchdown. Hughes runs into his own man, ran into the pulling guard, or actually the tackle, Essink, and a flag is down. Tampa Bay has taken a 7-0 lead against New England. DeBerg to Giles, 16 yards, and Kurt Warner will go in to have that ankle x-ray.
That is certainly not good news as there is concern, and believe me, you don't take risks with someone as valuable to your team as Kurt Warner, and that may force a change in the philosophy and the strategy of the Seahawks coaching staff.
Still first down.
Jerry Seaman announcing the 10-yard holding penalty against the Seahawks. Coach Chuck Knox, who was a original member of the New York Jets coaching staff, was an assistant for 3 years under Weeb Eubank, was instrumental in getting Joe Namath as a top pick out of Alabama. Had some Pennsylvania connections with Joe. First down 20. The Seahawks have not thrown the football yet and don't apparently need to the way they're running it. 9 more yards.
Trying to run that football in an obvious passing situation to force the Jets defense to think about their alignments. You see it right there. They were coming pass all the way. Morris able to pop through a good hole there, and well, you're willing to sacrifice some yards in a clear passing situation, but that certainly sets up a 2nd and 11, gives them a chance now to go after them with either run or pass.
Inside the 20 to the 19, and Merlin, they're really charging into that left side of the line, the defensive right side of the Jets.
Well, I think their philosophy here, Dick, is to attack that defensive line. You'll see them run in particular at Gastineau, I'm sure, as well as Bennett, and inside at Klecko, and they're trying to get them conscious of the running game. Later on, I think we'll see them going to the pass, hoping that they can get them to concentrate on the run so they'll have more time to throw the football.
David Hughes at fullback. So Morris and Hardy, the second string unit. The first pass is a touchdown. No, Darrell Turner did not come down in bounds. He's arguing that the defender pushed him out of bounds, and Craig picks up the appeal.
Craig over to talk to both of them. Turner looks to be much improved over last week. Had injured his toe 2 weeks ago, making a big catch, and was not a factor in the game against Denver. But he appears to be back on stride, and the official said his foot, and he's right, did come down right on top of the marker. You'll see it better from this angle, and it's the left foot coming down first outside, clearly only 1 foot in. The officials on top of the play.
Argument may have been that Kerry Glenn pushed him out. Norm Johnson will try a 36-yard field goal. Steve Largent to hold, and it is no good. The 20 here 2 weeks ago against Miami. Freeman McNeil had a marvelous game in beating the Dolphins 23-7, but paid the price and has a chip of the 12th rib, and that's the equipment he's wearing today.
It's an old style rib pad attached to his shoulder pads, and it's bulky. It could be a problem for him. You can see it right there. He's worried about fumbling the football. Here's something else that the Jets are worried about. They have never beaten Seattle. 0-7.
That's amazing, and whether you believe in superstition or jinxes or not, that's the
offsides.
77 Jeff Bryant premature on his defensive charge. Tony Page the ball carrier. Jerry Seaman the referee. And it'll cost Seattle 5 yards.
Rocky Cleaver, an extra tight end in there, and we'll see a lot of him today because Mickey Schuler has a torn stomach muscle. They're very concerned about him. They'll try and keep him off the field as much as possible today.
Number 77.
That record, 7 tries, 7 losses for the Jets against Seattle, and many of those games the Jets were the favored team, as they are this afternoon. I want to ask you after this play about your feeling as a player regarding jinxes or superstitions. It is Halloween week. McNeil. Nothing but a treat there for the Jets fans, and a first down.
There's some other teams that the Jets have never beaten, Dick, and it might be an interesting look to run down that list. Dallas, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Washington. It's interesting that in their long history, which has had some great teams, that there are still that many teams that they have not been able to get a winning score over. And of course, there's a lot of talk about jinxes. You know, is there a jinx against a team like that? Seattle would like to believe there is, believe me.
First down on Freeman McNeil's 8-yard carry. O'Brien just does get it off to McNeil. 40 and a first down at the 45. Michael Jackson pushed him out of bounds.
What a nice play and a good reaction by O'Brien. Now what they've tried to get O'Brien to do is not to break out of that pocket, to stay with the play until he's sure that it's gone, and then to scramble if he has to make a reaction, which he does here. McNeil able to corral that football, get downfield, and that's just like a handoff for him. He knows how to get it down there and pick up the first down.
At the 45-yard line, you see good average, over 13 yards per reception for McNeil. Ooh. Rock hard hit at the 49-yard line, delivered by Keith Butler, and McNeil earns 4.
He's running in pain. You'll see him right there, and you can see that those bulky pads which he's wearing to try and protect those ribs. They'll give him some rest today. I said, Freeman, how will that bother you in the game today? He said, look, he said, I hurt, but he said, I'm going to go out and try and get as much done as I can.
On 2nd down and 6, Johnny Hector comes in. Dennis Blygen just activated this week. Blygen from St. John's, and he's into Seattle territory. The first invasion by the Jets of the afternoon.
Seattle has had a few problems defeating a few teams as well, Dick. We didn't want to make it look like the Jets are the only team that has had some unbeatens. There are teams that Seattle has never been able to defeat, and of course in their they have a relatively short history, so the numbers are not high. Dallas and the Indianapolis Colts, a bit of a surprise there. The Rams, Miami, and a couple more for you.
3rd and 2. And too much time taken. McNeil started in one position, then Tony Page says move back the other, and by that time that 30-second clock staring at Ken O'Brien, who uses a timeout. No score, 5 minutes left in the quarter. Both teams effective on the ground here in the first quarter with 5 minutes and 6 seconds left in the period. No score, a 3rd and 2 for the Jets at the Seahawk 47. Page on the wing and in motion. McNeil on the pitch. at the 43. The New York Marathon, the winner, an Italian. Let's get the story from Bob. Today down the final on a beautiful day. What a run. Millions must have seen it here in the Big Apple. First down for the Jets. O'Brien, the quick pitch to Walker, incomplete. Dave Brown there on the coverage. Wesley Walker, number 85. Legally blind is Walker in the left eye, and that's why you will almost always see him lined up on the left side, because his good eye, his right eye, then is faced back toward the quarterback. On the left side, he'd be looking blindly for the ball.
He certainly knows how to get free, and he knows how to catch that football. 6 times last week for 140 yards, Dick. They're glad to have him back in the lineup.
Still has that great speed that took him to an NCAA record at California. Whistle, and time is called by Seattle. Now that was a strange call of timeout.
That is their first timeout.
Kenny Easley, I believe, calling that timeout, saw something that he knew was going to put them into trouble. He didn't want the play to go forward.
Fullback David Hughes, and they're taking a couple of towels, rolling them together to form a little pad for the neck.
He pinched a nerve, apparently, Dick. They'll wrap that around his neck so his neck won't be able to tip over as far.
So both Warner and Hughes, the starting backs, out for Seattle, and Freeman McNeil runs right into Randy Edwards, a defensive end from Alabama. Edwards, a free agent last year, and he's done a good job for Seattle this season. 3 sacks.
Seattle playing that 4-man line, and that's something they have not done a great deal of, and it's been very effective here. They're trying to shut down the running game. Inside, Joe Fields, the center, a critical man and getting things stopped, but you see Randy Edwards just shooting in from the outside. Again, I think because that's an unusual look. That's not something that Seattle has done a lot of.
So a 3rd and 12 facing O'Brien from the Seattle 47. Trouble, and Jeff Bryant has a sack for Seattle. Their second of this first quarter, and the Jets drive has stalled, and in comes Dave Jennings.
Just too much time in there. O'Brien couldn't find the open man, decided to scramble, not quick enough to escape. You'll see him with plenty of time here to throw the football. Just good coverage. No one is open. And then when he did decide to run, unfortunately, Bryant right there to nail him and put him down.
Bryant's 4th sack of the season. Deep is Paul Scansey at the 11-yard line. Jennings' first kick was 36 yards, no return. He lines this one to Scansey at the 14. And down he goes at the 17-yard line. Good coverage. Number 58, Matt Munger, a rookie from Oklahoma State, made the tackle. Being wrapped the right ankle of Kurt Warner, you realize his importance to the Seattle offense. When they run the football, it's Warner who picks up the yardage. 83% of their rushing offense. Of course, Freeman McNeil, a dominant player for the Jets, but they rely so heavily on Warner that David Hughes, the number 2 rusher for Seattle, has gained only 57 yards and won't gain any more today. He's out for the rest of the afternoon with that neck sprain. Now, if they lose Warner, they're down to 2 backs, Hardy, who has not carried all year, and Randall Morris, who had carried only twice, as their offense, and that's who's in there. First down from the 17. Morris to the 22-yard line.
Randall Morris carries.
Other scores.
By Lance Bell.
10-0. Denver leads Kansas City in the first quarter. Wilhite, a 1-yard run, a 24-yard field goal by Corliss. Detroit takes a 7-0 lead against Miami. Hipple to Jones, a 6-yard pass.
23.
And the Bears lead Minnesota 10-0. Kevin Butler has nailed a 44-yarder. And Washington leads Cleveland 14-0. A Riggins run and a Theismann to Clark pass. Second and 5. Andre Hardy ran right into Charles Jackson, 55. And to Hardy's credit, he didn't fumble.
Jackson, the hard blitz from the outside. It appeared that the Seattle offensive line concentrating on Gastineau and Klecko inside. They weren't able to do much with Charles. Let's look quickly at a stat that might be interesting for you. 1983, Kurt Warner's rookie year, 52% of the offensive plays were running plays. Last year with Warner out, they still ran 48% of the time. This year, they've only run 39% of the time, heavily dependent on the pass.
They've gone from ground chuck to astronauts.
I like that.
And here is the pass game. A flag down, complete to Largent at the 27-yard line. That looked to be good enough for a first down, but check the yellow flag on the near sidelines. Motion against Seattle. Remember, Largent, who has 37 catches, also has a 114-game consecutive reception streak. He's closing in on the all-time record held by Harold Carmichael of 127.
Legal motion, number 78, offense, still third down.
So Bob Kreider guilty of the foul. Dallas trails Atlanta. Archer to Matthews, a 6-yard pass in the first quarter for the Falcons. The other streak we'll be watching, of course, today is Dave Craig's consecutive touchdown streak of 25 consecutive games, tying Darryl LaMonica, number 2 all-time, distant second behind Johnny Unitas. Long pass to Turner, and Darryl Turner has a first down at the 48-yard line. Terrific throw by Craig, and Gastineau was in his face.
A very strange play by Turner. Was able to keep his concentration without tipping his hand. Man-to-man coverage down the side by Bobby Jackson. Now watch Turner as he gets away from Jackson, gets off the line, and won't let Jackson know the ball is coming until the last second. Right there, as Jackson finally tipped back, Turner accelerated, got away from him, and caught the football. Pretty play. That's the kind of pass that they were missing so far so many times last week. There's the pressure on Craig from Gastineau.
33 yards, the longest play of this first quarter. 1:09 left in the first. No score. Randall Morris using a little slip and slide move that reminds you of Kurt Warner.
Largent on the outside, getting a little action on that play as he's bumping around out there. You know, I was down in the locker room just before the game, Dick, and all these players, I think, pump for this kind of game because they know how important it is. But Largent is so cool, you wouldn't anticipate that he would be a tough guy, and yet he was a baseball catcher. He was a catcher back in high school, and talking to one of his teammates, they said, hey, he's the kind of guy that if he got mad at you, he'd deck you. Now, it doesn't sound like the Largent we know, does it?
Well, in Oklahoma City, that teammate was Pat Ryan, the backup quarterback with the Jets. They were the same high school, a year apart. Morris dropped for a loss at the 50. Mel and Jackson with a tackle, and that'll bring up third down and a long 8.
Lance Mel continues to play outstanding football. 12 tackles last week. Clifton actually had 14. He and Clifton, the 2 inside linebackers, leading tacklers, and Mel, of course, the man who coordinates that defense, takes the calls from the sideline.
And that is the end of the first quarter at Giants Stadium. No score. They went to Turner. They don't know how serious that is. First quarter statistics: 91 total yards for Seattle, only 24 for the Jets in the minus column throwing the ball.
Certainly a dominant first quarter for Seattle, but they haven't put a point on the board, Dick, and that's always a bad sign. When you dominate a team and can't get points on the board, you've got a problem.
They missed the 36-yard field goal, the only chance. 4 wide receivers with Dan Ross, number 85, in the backfield along with Craig. And down he goes. Gastineau forced him inside where Marty Lyons, 93, made the sack.
The initial pressure from big number 99. His teammates don't let him forget that he's not the leading sacker on this team. Barry Bennett has 5.5 sacks. Gastineau has 4.5. Here he comes. He's the man who forces the sack here, even though he doesn't get it. Gets double covered. Craig trying to get up inside. They put him down.
Dave Finzer from DePaul of Indiana will punt. Kirk Springs, one of the better return men in the entire NFL, is back, and 10 men on the line of scrimmage for the Jets. Into the wind. Springs at the 23. Returns at 9 yards to the 32, where Shelton Robinson makes the tackle. 46-yard punt. 9 to 10 yards on the return. Despite the fact that he's known to have.
Rocky Cleaver. Cleaver is to the 50 and to the Seattle 46-yard line.
His third catch of the year and big yardage for the Jets.
Cleaver finding some room in front of the safeties and behind the linebackers. Good job by Ryan. He has a height advantage. He can see those receivers down over the line there. Did a good job of delivering that football.
Good second effort by the tight end Cleaver. First down at the Seattle 46. Freeman McNeil. All the way to the 25.
McNeil very slow getting up after that fine run. And down in the pits, the action is fierce. Boy, they are clawing and kicking and biting. Watch McNeil now sweeping to his left. They were able to cut off the pursuit from the inside. They got away from Butler, number 53 there. Schultz couldn't get him. 44, John Harris finally got him down. Watch how they cut Joe Nash, the center, or the nose tackle. That's Fields going down on his legs. And when you can cut off the backside pursuit, you make room for those running backs.
Johnny Hector, and a flag down as Hector gains 4. While we check on the penalty, let's check elsewhere in the NFL as we go to NFL 85.
Dick on the pregame show. Axe suggested this might be the week for Tampa Bay. Well, they're in front 14-3 against New England. Steve Grogan loses the ball as he's hit. The fumble recovery by Keith Browner, one of the 3 Browner brothers in the NFL. James Wilder scored from the 1 moments later. 14-3 Bucks.
Holding number 63.
The Bucks trying to get off the schneid, looking for their first win. A holding penalty against the Jets, but much more important than the flag, the health of Freeman McNeil.
We started the day talking about the 2 great running backs in this game. Warner already out of the game, and on this play, McNeil takes a shot right there in the ribs on that left side, and he is still bent over. Trainer Bob Reese out to check and see how he is, and Joe Walton must be concerned about McNeil's health. McNeil missed 4 games last year with injured ribs, and boy, I'll tell you, when you miss someone who is as effective and as outstanding a back as McNeil is, it takes a big chunk of your offense.
Those are all Park Avenue performers. Dickerson, Payton, Dorsett, McNeil, Riggins. So Joe Walton sees his treasured running back Freeman McNeil to the sidelines. 40 yards rushing today, 20 on 1 carry his last. Denver in the AFC West with a 10-0 lead against Kansas City in the second quarter, and there's a surprise early. The Lions leading Miami 10-0 in the second.
What a strange year.
First down, 20. Johnny Hector in for McNeil. Check that, Dennis Blygen, 23 from St. John's, the all-time rusher for the Redmen, Division III football. Bears lead Minnesota 10-7 in the second quarter. Washington with a 2-touchdown lead at Cleveland in the first. And St. Louis 10-0 over Houston in the first quarter. Here no score. Atlanta leads Dallas 7-0 early. Second and 13. Under pressure, O'Brien to Tony Page, and the big fullback is to the 15, and we may have a face mask penalty to boot.
Tony Page was very angry as he got up until he saw the yellow flag. He said, hey, I'll let you grab my mask. We'll get some extra yardage out of this.
The ball appears to be in a position where the Jets already have a first down, and we have an injured Seahawk on the play. The casualty list in this first half has been alarming on both sides.
There is the face mask call. I tell you, the trainers might be the most valuable player of the day. Jim Weitzel and John Kasich out to look over their Seattle injuries. Let's see if we can spot who grabbed onto the mask there. The first shot right there. Ball coming to Page. It's John Harris, the first man over. And I think that's the one they called right there. Harris reaching in and taking hold of the mask. Is it a 5-yard?
5-yarder.
They're just giving him the 5. Now, if he jerks him with that mask, they can give him the 15, the full 15.
And speaking of the full number, the Jets have to go the full 10 for the touchdown. It's 1st and goal at the 10. Tampa Bay, as you heard earlier from Bob Costas, leading 14-3. Gleichen in the backfield. O'Brien. And it's intercepted in the end zone. Number 22, Dave Brown. His 3rd of the year, his 42nd in his fine career, and that denies the Jets. The Seattle Seahawks have it at the 20-yard line.
And oh, how unfair that is to tag that on the quarterback O'Brien, right in the hands of Gleichen. Watch the play yourselves. O'Brien is doing his job, which is to spot an open receiver, and it goes right off the chest and into the hands of the defender.
Warner back in the backfield for Seattle after the pass interception by Brown. Seahawks at their 20. No score. 11.5 minutes remaining first half. Warner greeted by Barry Bennett, number 78. No gain. No score here at Giants Stadium. We go to NFL 85.
Dick, the Dolphins are on the board at Detroit. A 19-yard pass from Marino to Joe Rose for Dan Marino, his 12th touchdown throw of the season. And Detroit's early 10-0 lead is now trimmed to 10-7. They're in the second. Back to Dick and Merlin.
All right, Robert, we'll be with you at halftime, of course, for all the early scores and top scoring plays of this, the 8th weekend. We're at the halfway mark of this 1985 regular season. Craig wide open is Largent, and that one will count, and a face mask. You saw Largent had the presence of mind right in the middle of his carry to go to his mask as if to say, they got me, and then he goes upfield for 5 more yards, and a first down out at the 39.
I think he got a finger in the eye. I think that's why he reached up, Dick. Looked like he reached up for his eye. The officials marking quickly 2 penalties, and the one thing that you had to believe as the Jets were stymied down there, they've got to be saying to themselves, here it goes again. Here's the jinx working on us, especially with Seattle able to come right back so quickly. There's the shot right there, and you saw him reach up to his eye. Kirk Springs, number 20 or 21. Russell Carter? Okay, Russell Carter. I'll take that. Carter coming across one-on-one. Reached right in and got a hold of Largent's eye.
Meanwhile, Kurt Warner came off the field limping again. Largent's consecutive string alive. Now 115 straight games. He's caught at least 1 pass. Only 12 behind the all-time record. Randall Morris has replaced Warner. After the 5-yard face mask penalty, Craig to Andre Hardy. And the new acquisition of the Seahawks just a couple of weeks ago. He's 233 pounds out of St. Mary's of California. Has a 4-yard gain. His first yardage gain in the NFL.
They're trying to bust Klecko in the middle. They're putting a lot of bodies on him, and his job is to crack that cup, Dick. Watch him as he works on a double team here. Millard on the inside, Bush on the outside. Both of them have a hold of his jersey, and he just keeps plowing like a bulldozer.
I think we might keep an eye on Joe Klecko. If they keep holding him like that, we're liable to see some bodies flying.
Somebody's going to get a punch in the mouth, I think.
2nd down and short. Morris. Actually, short gain on the first down carry of 3, and Morris only gets a couple more, just shy of midfield, and Joe Klecko, number 73, with a tackle.
Collision football. And right in the middle, you got to stuff things. You got to stop the action. There's Klecko, number 73, in that angled position, kind of a trademark for these Bud Carson defenses. Working one-on-one on Bush right there. He just bench presses Bush back into the stack and takes the shot from Morris right in the chest.
Remember what a job Klecko did on Dwight Stevenson, everyone regarded as the top center in the NFL. He ate him alive in the win against Miami 2 weeks ago. 3rd and 5. Wide open, Largent. Is it a catch? Apparently the fumble. A flag is down, and they're going to blow it dead. Kirk Springs picked it up and went out of bounds at the 40-yard line. But flags are down, and we may have a defensive holding call against the Jets.
Darrell Turner waving to say there's a penalty on the Jets. Let's give you a chance to see the play as the officials gather to try and sort things out.
That was a tough call on whether or not Largent had possession long enough. It won't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. It's a holding call. Here's Largent going down. working one-on-one right here on Kerry Glenn, 35, and they used a little screening there. Rich Miano and Kerry Glenn both came in to strip him. Did not appear that he had the ball long enough.
Number 27, defense, first down. The receiver never controlled the ball. Consequently, incomplete
Russell
pass.
Carter, the man who's tagged for holding, and that's a problem that they've had with Carter, who's a fine one-on-one covering back, but he tends to grab on, use his hands a little too much. There was the play as you saw the ball skipping away before Largent's feet. He has to get both of them on the ground.
And he was juggling the ball too, so it's clearly not a catch. The defensive hold carries an automatic first down at the 45 of the Jets. No score, 9 minutes left, first half. Largent throwing the ball away, incomplete. As he ran right into Marty Lyons, there was a receiver in the area, Charlie Young. By the way, speaking of Charlie Young and a receiver, they've received their 5th child this week, the Youngs.
This is an unusual play as Largent comes on an apparent reverse, but it's passed all the way. Now the two ends have switched. Marty Lyons has gone on the left side. Gastineau has gone over on the right. Lyons was all the way in with quick penetration, and that was a smart play by Largent as he just unloaded the football.
Other scores as we keep you abreast of all the action around the NFL. 2nd and 10. Going deep and open is Turner. 20, 10. Turner has a Seattle touchdown. And Dave Craig with that touchdown throw has a 26-game streak, second only to the famed Johnny Unitas, and Turner beating the Jets' deep defense.
Feel the frustration on the sideline, and of course for Seattle they're glad to have their big play receiver back. 7 TDs on the season already. This is number 8 for Turner. Turner with that sore toe, not a factor in the game last week against Denver, but already asserting himself here in this ball game. His second big catch of the day, this one for a touchdown.
45-yard play, and now Norv Johnson with a try for point. Largent the holder. It's down the middle, and Seattle leads 7-0 as they go 80 yards after Dave Brown's interception in the other end zone. I'm the little guy. That was my jinx. Do you believe in jinxes, superstitions?
Well, I'll tell you, go into every game saying we don't believe that stuff. But when I played, there were certain teams that would start to get the best of us, and we'd say, oh, no, here it goes again. You've got to kind of feel that the Jets are having that same kind of reaction at this moment.
Jets, Bobby Humphrey waiting for Johnson's kickoff and will not take it out. New York will start from the 20-yard line. Yeah, you don't believe in jinxes and superstitions when you're winning big, but when you fall behind and you've never beaten a team, you might start to entertain thoughts that there's something going wrong. 80-yard drive in 6 plays, less than 2.5 minutes, and Craig to Turner, the payoff pitch. As Craig has completed 4 passes for nearly 100 yards. He's averaging about 25 per throw. Ken O'Brien, who had a first down at the Seattle 10, only to find a pass deflected and intercepted, and he'll start now from his 15. 5-yard motion penalty. 7-0 Seattle. 9 minutes left in the half. Let's go to Bob.
Number 60, offense.
All right, Dick, the Lions have gotten that Miami touchdown right back. Eric Hipple, playing hurt, finds Leonard Thompson over the middle. He burns through the entire Miami secondary. 38-yard touchdown, and the Lions are back in front by 10 again, 17-7.
So the Lions, fresh from their win against the 49ers last week, trying to get another big scalp this afternoon. Tony Page, not much there. A gain of 2, maybe 3. It'll bring up second down and 12 or 13.
Both backs in there injured right now. McNeil with his ribs and Page with an ankle that, strangely enough, he hurt celebrating a touchdown in the end zone. I think that's the kind of thing that gets you in trouble with a coach. But he is out there playing and playing tough. Not a big average, but he has been asked to run in tough yardage situations, and he is a bull of a back.
St. Louis 10-3 lead against Houston. Tony Zendejas, a 39-yard field goal for the Oilers. O'Brien, well protected, has a man. incomplete. Wesley Walker trying to make the one-handed catch on the sidelines. Dave Brown and Kenny Easley there for Seattle.
The big hitter in this defense for Seattle, number 45, Kenny Easley. And what a great game he had last week, although he missed part of it after a concussion when he was running back punts. But you see him very quickly in on the action there and trying to imagine a way of controlling that football and getting his feet back in bounds. And there's Dave Craig. We gave you some statistics to show the up and down character of this young man. Seattle fans are hoping this is an up day, and so far it has been.
3rd and long, and Freeman McNeil back in there, but shy of the first down at the 25. And on 4th and 5, you hear some of the grumbling here at Giant Stadium.
Jet fans wanting that ball in the air. They say, hey, you're not going to get enough for the first down that way. And indeed, they're going to have to kick it away. Jennings with a very poor punt, a couple of punts that were a little bit marginal early in the first half. Let's see what he can do here.
He has the win this time. You see the net average, the second set of figures to the kicker is much more important. That's where the other team actually takes charge. 36 yards plus for Finzer and 36.5 for Jennings. That's what they go in and negotiate when they sign their contract, not total punting average. That hides a lot of sins.
Ooh, they got him.
There's going to be a penalty as Jennings was hit.
There are actually 2 flags down. One on the line of scrimmage, but one is definitely a roughing call against the Seattle Seahawks.
They ran into Jennings. Easley was in on the play as they went after the block, but there's also a penalty where you might suspect offside.
Ineligible downfield. Number 94, kicking team. Personal foul. Running into the kicker. Number 20, defensive team. Offsetting penalties. Replay.
Early release by one of the interior linemen for the Jets. A very costly, simple foul.
And really what happened there is that the Seahawks have dodged a bullet. That bumping right there would have turned the ball back to the Jets, given them a first down. That's as good as a turnover. But what happens? Because one of their men released too soon to go downfield, the play must be run again. They've got to kick it again.
That seems an unfortunate swap of personal foul, a roughing compared to a little 5-yarder, but they negate one another, and Jennings will try again. Bingham snap. Fair catch for Scansey at the 34-yard line. So Seattle puts it in play in good position at the 34 after the 41-yard kick by Jennings. 7 minutes and 21 seconds remaining in the first half. Seattle scored on the last possession. Craig to Darrell Turner.
Scansey, you might remember if you watched our game last week, had some hip problems, was smashed on the hip. He's lucky to be back in there, watching all the way at the ball once he'd call that fair catch. And of course his responsibility then, don't drop the football. Almost a sigh of relief as he cradled that one away.
Saw him follow that ball right into his hands with his eyes. Randall Morris, little stutter step, and a gain of a yard. Barry Bennett made the tackle.
One of the things you have to know about playing on the nose is that you're going to get hit by a lot of people. Joe Klecko will take a shot from Bush, the center, and then watch the guard, Ed Bailey, right there into his ribs. Now that has got to hurt. Literally unprotected, and then Bush comes back and cuts him again. There's no wonder that people don't enjoy playing that nose tackle position.
But in a way, that is a victory for Klecko because it's taking 2 men to stop him. That means somebody else is one-on-one. Now look, Klecko has moved to the other side with the angle. And Morris gains a couple more to the 38-yard line with a flag down. Now how does that determine, Merlin? He'll angle off the right side. Now he's off the left side.
Just according to the defense call and according to the formation by the offense. But Klecko usually tries to work back to the nose, square up on the center. You see him going all the way across. Now when the play goes away from the angle, it's pretty easy for Klecko to follow it. It's kind of tough when they come back against the angle. He's got to fight hard to get back to that side because he is at a disadvantage.
Offside, defense, left end, still second down.
Indianapolis with a 10-point lead against Green Bay. The earlier score, Detroit saying Miami come back to cut the lead to 3. But of course, Jets fans rooting for the Lions on this afternoon as we start with the Dolphins and the New York Jets tied for first in the East. Randall Morris trying to get outside, gets a block. He's all the way to midfield and a first down.
It looked like the Jets defense jumped a little on that play. I believe Craig went to a long count, used a voice inflection to try and get the Jets off sides.
Well, Randall Morris with 55 yards rushing in the first 7 games of the year. It carried only twice for 12.
Offside, number 73, defense, penalty decline, first down.
Embarrassing for a nose tackle to jump off sides. He's right on top of that football, but he's listening. Had rabbit ears on that play as he heard the bark of the signal, wanting desperately to get in and make the play. Got there a little too soon.
7-0 Seattle and a first down with the ball just in Jets territory. Good numbers for Craig, 4 for 5. That's interesting. Only 5 passes in this first half. Andre Hardy plowing forward. A gain of 3 or 4 before Gilbo and Klecko can make the stop. Denver with a big first half at Kansas City. 24-7 Broncos. Buffalo leading Philadelphia. A surprise there in the second.
Dick, I think one of the reasons that we're not having as many passes thrown in this game is that Knox kind of reflecting on what happened to Craig last week, how much pressure was on him. If he can run the football, take a little heat off Craig, I think you'll see him doing that, and that's certainly been the pattern so far in this game.
On 2nd and 7. It's Randall Morris. Only a yard for the former Tennessee back. Went to Long Beach Poly High School, did Randall Morris. That's been a school that has produced so many outstanding players to college and NFL. Tony Hill went to Long Beach Poly. Gene Washington, Andre Tyler, Billie Jean King from Long Beach Poly High School.
Jets defense, as you see by that stat, much improved this year, and it's amazing to me how quickly they have picked up this 3-4 concept under Bud Carson.
3rd and 5, 6 defensive backs, shotgun Craig. Dan Ross is in at tight end. Craig over the middle, complete to Paul Scansey. And the young man from the University of Washington has a first down at the 35.
You see Craig congratulating his offensive line for giving him time on that play. Dan Ross, newly acquired tight end, looked like he took a good shot on that play coming over. He's hunched over. Ooh, he must have got a good pop in the stomach or the hip. But Craig standing in as long as he possibly could. Good pressure. We'll see Ross on that last play getting wrapped. You see him right in the middle of the line, and that was Barry Bennett. He was blocking on someone. Bennett hit him on the side.
Using Ross as the other back with Craig in the shotgun. Craig goes down.
Oh, Joe Klecko.
From underneath, Klecko just burrowing his way into the backfield.
We talked about breaking the cup, about that almost moving that whole line back like a bulldozer. Watch number 73, Klecko. Just drives right through Bush, number 59, runs over the top of him, gets through the assist right there by Hardy, and has Craig before he can get the ball off. That's some power defensive play from Joe Klecko.
Oh, he's having an all-pro year at that nose tackle, and Bud Carson's 3-4 defense apparently suiting Joe Klecko just A-OK. And he has just handled every center he's played against this year. Craig scrambling. Lots of room. 40, 30, and out of bounds at the 29. Close to a first down.
Lance Mel, of man that finally ran him out. Craig known more to run to get a little extra time to pass, but showed us some good running ability there. Make it about a 15, 16-yard run, Dick. Nice run on the play.
Numbers on his jersey.
Yeah, 17. All right. But you see him here accelerating. Lance Mel will come from the inside to take him out of bounds. Craig also knows how to get that body down so he doesn't have to take those extra hits.
So after the sack, Craig able to scramble into a 3rd and 3. with 3 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in this first half.
Right now, you got to believe that the Jets are thinking turnover. Let's get that football. Let's put some pressure on.
Charles Jackson was the man who hit him in the backfield to spin him around, and then there was plenty of help to deny the first down.
They believe in the blitz. They're not afraid to come at you. Jackson hit Morris way back in the backfield. That's pressure defense, and that's one of the big changes in this Jet team.
Del Greco's 29-yard field goal, moving the Colts back on top by 7 against Green Bay. On 4th down and 4, a long attempt by Norm Johnson into the wind. It will be a 47-yard effort, maybe 46, depending on the spot. That would match his longest of this year. Looks good. Hits the upright. No good. He hit the post. So Johnson is 0 for 2, missing wide right from 36, and he hits the upright from 47.
Just shaking his head. That ball looked like it was going to make it, but didn't have enough velocity. Just kept drifting and drifting and drifting. Finally hit the left upright and bounced away. You'll feel the kicker's emotion right here as it finally glances off. Whoops. We didn't get that far. We did get some emotion from him anyway.
Oh, with 2:41 left in the half, trailing 7-0, the Jets go to work. A flag down. Kurt Sohn has his first reception of the afternoon, but an early flag, and one would expect that that's going to be a motion. It is.
Jets frustrating some of their own efforts here. Kurt Sohn, by the way, started today to flanker position. That's a change for the Jets. Ordinarily, JoJo Townsell would be over there, but as they've moved Walker back into a starting position, they've shifted Sohn to the other side.
As we move toward the intermission, stay with us for the NFL 85 report.
Illegal motion, number 24, offense.
Freeman
Two-man
McNeil.
move, did not reset prior to the snap.
Got to believe that pain will bother your concentration, and I'm sure that McNeil, battling with those ribs, is probably having trouble keeping full concentration on all the idiosyncrasies and the small things in the game.
Tony Dorsett just ran 60 yards for a touchdown to give Dallas the lead. Squirming out of a pack and is out to the 33-yard line. Kenny Easley, his former teammate at UCLA, made the hit.
What a great cut by number 24 McNeil. Watch it right there. He sees an opening to the outside and leaps out of the pack. More than a 90-degree cut and makes the fine run.
2 minutes remaining in the first.
45-yard touchdown pass. Dave Craig to Darrell Turner for the Seahawks.
Seattle has dominated play, missing 2 field goals. Kurt Warner, and they've done it without the services of Warner primarily, as he injured an ankle early. Freeman McNeil out for several plays, but has been available for most of this half, and he's in the backfield behind O'Brien. O'Brien in trouble. Joe Nash after him, and down he goes. It was Nash who flushed him out, and Randy Edwards gets the sack.
4-man rush, 6 defensive backs, and that nickel package of Tom Catlin's defense, a great job of holding down the receivers. O'Brien couldn't find a body. They come quickly back with a play.
On 3rd and 10, wide open on the sidelines is Mickey Schuler, and Schuler, who has a bad muscle pull in the stomach and is not being used fully today, able to get in for that catch and a first down if it counts.
Penalty on the play. They're discussing it now, and they're bringing the ball back, Dick.
Now, the yellow flags have certainly hurt the Jets in this first half, as did the one interception in the end zone.
Jets have to be shaking their head. They certainly have had opportunities, not many conversions.
See Schuler just 5 behind
defense,
Christensen, and
decline.
you got to play with just 11 as much as you may want to have an extra.
Well, I think what happened is that Catlin loves to switch from 5 defensive backs to 6 defensive backs, even 7 defensive backs. And I'm sure as someone was running onto the field, Seattle's trying to change the defenses. The Jets came out, ran a quick play, and caught him with 12 men on the field.
Ball on the 44 now as they move it back on the snap. with another sack. Randy Edwards, 270-pounder from Alabama, a free agent pick, and he has his second sack today, and that might even be 3 depending on how they count it.
4 sacks overall by the Seahawks today. The Jets have given up 26 coming into this game on the year.
2nd and 20 with a minute and a half remaining in this first half. Out of bounds goes Al Toon with his 6th reception of the year. Terry Jackson on the coverage.
That's the kind of play that they will give up. They want to keep them, of course, in bounds if they can. There's the sack differential. This is coming into the game. The Seahawks in a negative position, giving up more sacks than they had made, and the Jets obviously giving up more than they had made. Neither of those stats a healthy one for these two clubs.
1:27 left in the half. Bobby Humphrey on a little Statue of Liberty play, out of bounds at the 47 of Seattle, maybe the 46. It'll be short of the first down. Well, that's one you hadn't seen for a while. The old quarterback going back, and where else but in this area should you have a Statue of Liberty still alive?
The old girl's still doing well and being renovated, and Walden had renovated the play himself. He brought it back, the Statue of Liberty.
4th and inches.
Chance to watch it here. O'Brien doing a good job of acting, and there's a nice block on the outside right there. Jacob Green, that was Dan Alexander, number 60, gave him a little extra room.
Jets go for it and have it. Tony Page over the top, and now they'll hurry with that clock stop momentarily, and now they do spend their second timeout with 1:16 left in the half.
And anytime you replace one of your starters in that offensive line, you have coordination problems. 4 sacks so far for the Seahawks against O'Brien and the Jets.
Well, the Jets are unbeaten here at home this year. They are still looking for their first win ever against Seattle. 7 straight Seahawk wins. First down from the 44. Out of bounds, Mickey Schuler. No, he did not have the ball. Juggling and did not have possession. Terry Jackson on the coverage.
Schuler concerned about that stomach pull. He is able to play with the pain, but he said, you know, I don't know how bad I'm hurting that thing, and he's really concerned about it. I don't blame him. He's wearing a kind of a girdle to protect it, but boy, that's a nasty injury.
1 minute 12 seconds. There you see 7-0 Seattle. The Jets trying to tie it before the intermission.
Come on out, baby. Come on,
Number 1 pick in '83, Ken O'Brien. Going long, open. Al Toon, and a flag and another go down, interference.
Dave Brown trying to take advantage of this rule that says if you're not looking back at the quarterback, you can have some incidental contact. That contact was not incidental, and he's going to be ticketed for the foul. Watch Toon. Right at the end, you'll see Dave Brown, who's beaten on the play, lower his head and drive right here into Toon, deliberately knocking him away from the football. They'll ticket him for the foul.
It's a 39-yard penalty. First and goal for the Jets at the 5-yard line. Boy, Al Toon showing his tremendous acceleration and speed to break open. Kurt Sohn just shy of a touchdown.
Very important for the Jets and O'Brien, for all of these Jets, to get some points here, get something on the board. They got it down here once before, and the ball was intercepted, bounced away. Quite a bit of time left. You want to take advantage of that. The Jets have really been effective inside the 20-yard line. 23 of 27 drives have been able to get some points on the board. And they were 100% during that 5-game winning streak. Anytime they got inside the 20, they scored.
But they were unsuccessful with a first down at the 10 today. Now
yes.
they have it second and goal at the 5. And O'Brien spends the last time out. Seahawks have 2 remaining. A minute and 2 seconds left. Second and goal from the 5-yard line. Joe Walton, Chuck Knox, 2 men who grew up in the Pittsburgh area. In fact, probably a half an hour drive on either side of the Steel City.
They're both scrappers, too. I think that's one thing they share, is that they fought their way up, and they're not afraid to stick their nose into the pile and go after it here today.
Here come some mass substitutions for
a lot of
Seattle.
changes. You might ask, why do they wait to make that change? They want the play to go in first offensively, then they make their defensive change to another defense.
Came in with extra defensive backs. They're expecting the pass.
Before this game started today, they've got to believe in it now. Their second opportunity inside the 10-yard line. The hit right here. Terry Jackson, 24 on the blitz. The ball caroms up off the ground, and Jacob Green, he must think it's 10 miles from there to the end zone. He stops at one point. He wants to lateral. You see him? He put it in the other hand, and then said, I can make it, I can make it. And just barely lugging it into the end zone.
Orlando Pizzolato, he is not, but he does have a touchdown, the second long one of his NFL career. And Norm Johnson tacks on the extra point. So twice the Jets have had first and goal. Once intercepted in the end zone, and now a 79-yard touchdown by Jacob Green.
I think he got a little tired going down there.
Ball gets heavy, doesn't it?
Boy, I'll tell you, it gets awful heavy. You got to stop at a gas station going in. One more time. You see the blitz, top side of your screen. Gaines also coming in to get a piece of that. Joe Nash, nose tackle, gets a bounce on it. But the big key there is the way the ball came up off the artificial turf. And Jacob Green running well the early part of his distance, but I don't think he's run that far very often. He's sucking up a little oxygen down there right now, but doing so with a big smile on his face.
He had a 73-yard touchdown with an interception against Cleveland a couple of years ago. So he knows the way. It's just a matter of where the fuel pumps. 14-0. And how this game has turned around. On Halloween week, the Jets must be wondering. The worst thing they've done is get deep in Seattle territory.
Well, they were bitten that way last week. Got the ball down to the one, a fumble, and then Grogan took New England way down all the way into the end zone to turn that game around.
46 seconds left as Johnson sidewinds it down to Humphrey. He's going to take it out. And he's down at the 14-yard line.
Indecision will kill you. Humphrey changed his mind 3 times and gave that Seattle coverage a chance to get down there. Instead of having the ball on the 20, dropping to a knee, that decision cost him about 6-7 yards.
All right, 14-0, and you've already used all your timeouts in this first half. You just say, okay, it's been a rough 30 minutes. We'll take the 14-0 and live with it, or do you take some chances from deep in your own end?
I think you live with that score. You're too far down, and you don't want to gamble. The last thing in the world you want to do is turn it over again, Dick. Well, so much for that strategy.
And that ball alive, and the Seahawks grabbing at it as Mickey Schuller.
Schuller is hurt. I think he hurt his hand, Dick. He's got a hold of his thumb. He's heading for the sideline.
Boy, some key players nicked this afternoon. And when you're already hurt and you're protecting one injury, that's what so often happens.
Let's see if we can see what happened. He's reaching in for the ball. Looks like the defensive man, I think he caught his hand on the ground as he went down. It looked like Fred Young kind of hooked him a little bit, and his thumb went right into the turf. You can see him hanging on to it, and boy, it may have jumped right out of joint. Klecko dislocated his thumb earlier in the year, still having trouble with it. That's not as big a problem for a defensive lineman as it is for a receiver. He is hurting.
Now Schuller being attended to, the top receiver for the Jets this year. And Joe Walton rehearsing his halftime speech. Down 14-0. And Seattle, as you pointed out, Merlin Olsen, a team that has lived by the turnover. Their success in making the playoffs the last 2 years, taking the ball away. They've had an incredible margin in that regard. Chuck Knox teaching, going for the intercept and the fumble. And today it has been 2 turnovers, the key to their 14-0 lead.
And that's really what killed them last week. We talked about it earlier against Denver. They turned it over 5 times. They didn't get it a single time. Today they're bouncing back on the plus side of the ledger, and they've made 2 key turnovers, both inside the 10-yard line. And of course that one gave them a chance. The second one gave them a chance to go all the way back and put it in the end zone. And Knox, I'm sure, extremely happy to see his team on the plus side of the ledger this week, and extremely happy with the score.
And leading 14-0 basically without the services of his starting backs, fullback David Hughes and Kurt Warner, who has played sparingly with an ankle sprain.
They're taking Schuler into the dressing room, probably to x-ray and see what damage is done to that thumb. Oh, that is not as that's another blow to this Jet team.
35 seconds left in the half. 2nd and 10. O'Brien. They wanted the pass lateral play, the hook and ladder, with Freeman McNeil trailing Rocky Kleber, but Kleber couldn't get the lateral off to McNeil, who was trailing the play. Timeout Seattle with 23 seconds. That's interesting.
Joe Walton pulling the stops. Rich Kotite calling the plays from upstairs, apparently believing that they have got to take some big risks to get back into this game. They're doing it right here as they come from deep in their own end, throwing the ball without any regard to the risks. 23 seconds to go. Not much time on the clock.
Well, on that Seattle sidelines is Charlie Young. We mentioned earlier that he and his wife Pauline welcoming their 5th child, Chancellor Young. Well, for a USC guy,
that's interesting.
Charlie Young, Chancellor Young's over at UCLA. It shows you that there's no bias there. And congratulations to the Youngs, and also to our own Howard Zrib, who is working with us today. Production end, Jesse Reed Zrib, born Wednesday. He's home today, and understanding, he says the coverage of the first half has been outstanding, especially the graphics.
I asked Charlie if that baby was keeping him up. He said, well, no, we haven't got the baby home yet. He said, when I go home, get home from this trip, we'll go pick the baby up, bring the baby home.
I understand it was a lacerated thumb suffered by Schuler. 3rd and 3. McNeil, 25-30. Cuts back at the 40. All the way to the 48-yard line, but they can't stop the clock. It's running 10-9, 31 yards for McNeil.
They'll try and just snap it and throw it out of bounds here.
And that stops the clock with 1 second remaining in the half. Make that 30 yards officially for McNeil. That'll really fatten up the statistic for the first 30 minutes for McNeil, who in this half has 86 yards, leading rusher in the AFC, and could well after today be the top runner in the NFL. Well, it's time for one desperation play for Joe Walton. He needs a miracle.
Well, and this is the kind of, this he really does. This is a kind of situation where you have to try and force a mistake on the defense. They'll try and throw the ball down and either get a ricochet, bounce the ball around, maybe catch it for a touchdown, or even better, because the time is so short, try and force a penalty by the defense, which would allow them one more play deep down toward the end zone.
5-yard penalty is marked off against the Jets back to the 47-yard line. It may be that they called a timeout, which they did not have.
No, they didn't do that. They were offsides. They just didn't have everybody lined up properly.
That's right.
They just had a quick snap and just to stop the clock.
So they succeeded in the ultimate goal, and that is to stop the clock.
To get some time. 3 wide receivers to this side. They'll throw it into the pack. O'Brien just hanging it up there, hoping that someone will interfere with the catch.
And they also get a second on the trade. Last play of the half, unless there's a penalty against Seattle. Jets right in the helmet. JoJo Townsell. And that is the end